feeling of separation and being separate to others and the world, and that you're here and everything else is out there, and you're interacting with these objects or experiences or whatever it may be. And the reason it can feel really difficult to break past the barrier of separation and oneness really is dependent on and focused on this idea of this sense of identity that I think a lot of us have, right? As we have grown up from being in our mother's bellies to childhood to teenage years to adulthood, every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second, we're just reinforcing consistently this sense of identity. And that's a good thing to start to question and look at. What is your sense of identity? As the past 4, 5, 6 months have unfolded for me, I've really been very aware of this sense of identity just falling away, because there's less attachment to these memories and these experiences that happened to this person called Flow that ended up creating Flow. And recently, talking to one of my spiritual teachers, I was reminded, they asked me how was the self created? And I hadn't ever thought about it in that way before. How was the self created? Well, the self was created because she thought that she had to feel guilty for her upbringing and all the things that went part and parcel in that. And then because there was this deep sense of guilt and lack within myself for how I treated particularly like my siblings, I then consistently started to look at outside of myself to gain any kind of validation and security to stop that guilt. And that's no fault of mine. I didn't know that I held the key to my salvation and that it was all in here. I thought, and I think we all think, that the answer is out there. And it's just really useful to be able to look at what's happening and look at the memories and the beliefs that are forming in your mind, and just realizing that those are all consistently reinforcing this sense of identity. And don't judge yourself for that. Like, this is big stuff to undo when you're still so caught up in this idea of separation and the separate self and a you and a me and me and this couch and all these kind of things. And even though we have these glimpses of seeing the truth, of seeing that there is no self, of seeing that you're not moving through a space, but in fact you are the space, we have got 20, 50, 60 millennia of years about reconfirming this sense of identity that we've created, that's located in memory and beliefs and all these kind of things. And so really looking at that sense of identity that's creating the self is quite vital to letting that shed away and fall away. And trust me that does actually really happen as you start to see that there's no self and nothing's actually ever happened. Relating everything back to these old memories and past experiences and traumas, it just falls away, because it feels like if it's not now, or perhaps I think for me at the moment, it feels like if it's not now or the past 6 to 8 weeks, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't have an attachment or a hold. And even now, when perhaps some more negative feelings would arise, like sadness, particularly sadness is arising for me, there is no need anymore for me to go dig around as to when I was 4 years old and this moment happened and a child stole my lollipop on the playground. That just falls away, because that's just reinforcing actually this sense of identity, that there's this separate person called Flo who can experience sadness, because it's just not true. And how crazy is that, right? Like, how wonderful and crazy that this idea of who you are, this identity that you've so strongly created and are connected to, actually just doesn't exist. It was never even there in the first place. And all these things that you perceive are happening to you, that's also just never happened either. And it's just quite mind-blowing, really, when you really can see it and feel the experience of it. And when you start to let go of these previous identities and memories and beliefs on the situations, when difficult circumstances crop up now in your life, you're actually not as impacted by them, because there's no more reference to a potential past and a potential future. There's just now. And when you're in the now and feeling the allness that is, nothing can actually like harm you. And even speaking, like most recently, again, I was talking to this, my teacher, and I was like, I don't even know who's speaking, like who's saying these words. I haven't wanted to pick up this camera and film anything because I genuinely just didn't know what to say anymore. There really felt like there was nothing to say. And then on the bus home from work today, I just really felt this sense of identity, and just sharing my understanding and of that. And if that helps anyone, I don't know. But yeah, how wonderful. Who is it that's driving the bus? Who is it that's driving this body? Who is it that's speaking right now? Because there is no one here. And perhaps the biggest answer, the most direct answer we can ever know is, I don't know.